I love how you kind of became such aficionados of games that you knew all of the words that were in Balderdash and it got boring. Like that's an enormous amount of game playing time.
Hundreds of hours. I mean, yes, like I mean, the things we would get. I mean, that's nerds though. Nerds get into something and they get all the way into it. And especially when you're a kid, it's like when you're that nerdy kid in middle school, it's like, well, you come home, you like finish your homework in 20 minutes. You don't have a girlfriend, you don't have other friends. Like it's just you're not playing sports. It's like, what would we do? We'd get together and like watch comedy things and play games until we knew every possible thing to know about the game.
Hmm. And I mean, now that game, Cards Against Humanity is, I was just looking on Amazon, it's the number one best selling toys and games product on all of Amazon. So hugely popular. And as I understand it, when you first started the game, it was really just like PDFs that people could download and they could print it out and play it for free.
Yeah, and in fact, the whole game is still available that way. I mean, it was never any sort of plan or goal that this would be a commercial product, or certainly that even if it was a commercial product, that it would be one that we made money on. Of the cards guys, I was actually the only one of the guys who had sort of previously worked on a game. I made a very popular game when I was in college called Humans versus Zombies that was sort of a precursor to Cards Against Humanity. And it's like this huge game of tag. Happy to go into a little more detail on that if you want. But like essentially, it was this big game of tag. We felt that it was very important that the game was always free to play. And it's in the chart. We made a company to protect the sort of intellectual property for Humans versus Zombies, but it's in the charter of our company that we could never make a profit or charge people to play. So that was always the ethic that I had. Like I always think games. I don't know. It's like I'm not thinking about this as a business person. I'm thinking about this as like someone who just wants to contribute something to the culture. And there's a kind of a joyfulness and like I put this thing in the world and it's making people laugh. So that was all I ever gave a shit about.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we were like, we were playing the game. It was making people laugh, and we were like, people on the internet will like this. But the idea, it was so weird. It was so subversive and out there. And you have to remember, like, also, like, this was the tail end of the Bush administration, and just the mere idea of like wordplay, of like taking the language and like twisting it into meaninglessness. It was political. It was so different. It's so hard to imagine now how in the Obama era, right, what a different world it was like, 8-10 years ago. But it was so subversive. Like the whole premise of the game is sort of this anti-authoritarian, like nobody owns language, nobody owns all this like slick advertising terms in pop culture, and it's this sort of like crazy anarchic, like you can twist these words and this sort of advertising speak and these political slogans into anything you want. And we were looking at it and we were like, no one's going to pay for this. Like we'll be lucky that anyone ever looks at it. So we like made a PDF. We put it under Creative Commons. We posted it online as a free download, and it's still there under those exact terms. And anyone can go get the game for free at cardsagainsthumanity.com.
And so just to sort of simplify the story, you're playing Balderdash, you get so sick of that, you start making your own games, you make Cards Against Humanity, and then you end up deciding, oh, we're going to put this for free on the internet as PDFs. What was the point at which you decided, oh, this needed to be shared with people?
Well, we started getting, so we had this website where you could download the game. I think I still even have the like original version of this website. And one of the things on there was like, email us if you have if you're like mad about something, or you want, you want to talk to us or whatever. And we started getting hundreds of emails as this thing was sort of getting this like cult following and like snowballing and getting bigger and bigger. And then, back in the day, it was websites. It was on like Metafilter and Something Awful and like forums, right? There was no, I think this was like the first year that Twitter was out, was when you were starting cards. Like there was none of this stuff. So it was very like, being posted on forums and things like that. But we started getting hundreds of emails of people saying, I want to play this game, but I don't want to have to print and cut the cards myself because it's, frankly, a lot of work. So they were like, you should just like sell this game. And we sort of like, at first we were sort of dismissive because we were like, well, A, like we don't know how to make a game, but B, like no one's going to buy this. Like, what is it? Like 20 people emailed us want to buy this thing. Like, it just seems impossible. So around that time, Kickstarter was starting to pick up steam. I saw a Kickstarter project by this guy I had worked with on the 2008 Obama campaign named Scott Thomas, and he made this book called Designing Obama that was like, still is my favorite design book and very important and influential for me. And I saw how Kickstarter, I was like, this took this thing that, it took this idea that I wasn't sure anyone would care about, which is like the insider baseball design process of how the Obama brand got built. But it let Scott make the most pure expression of that book that is humanly possible. I mean, there was no creative sacrifice was spared to make this book exactly right. It was stuff that we couldn't even do on the campaign because it was too expensive or laborious. And I was like, wow, Kickstarter is an amazing like creative tool for this. And I was like, this is perfect for cards because no publisher will touch this. Like, we're not going to be able to sell it in Walmart, but like, if the people feel strongly about this, are willing to like put up their money, we'll get money to, we'll get a budget and we'll still be able to make it without making any sort of creative sacrifices. So we wound up asking for $4,000, which was more money than we or anyone we knew had. And it got $15,000 in Kickstarter. And that was sort of the beginning of the company. We took all that money and did a first printing and sold that and used that money to do a second printing and sold that and used that money to do a third printing. And then